Now that the sumo arc has finally come to an end, it's time for an updated power ranking tier list. In D tier, we have the two brothers at the bottom. They haven't done really anything since early Baki. Yes, the cord cutter did fight Doyle and lose during the prisoner arc. He did however defeat his brother, so I guess he goes one place above him. Next I have the death row inmates with the order going Sikorsky, Doyle, Speck, and then interchangeable Yanagi and Dorian as the strongest. Sikorsky pretty much got clapped in every fight he was a part of. A similar thing with Doyle, however he did have some good showings against Oliver during their exchanges. Speck really only had his fight against Hanma, so I can't really say all that. Dorian went in with probably the most fight and did have some good showings, did get absolutely clapped by some, so yes, a monster, but also most of the prisoners got shit on. Yanagi I would say is the most dangerous due to his technique, making even the likes of Motobe pull up with weapons and Yuichiro to come in with that deadly finish. And then also in D tier I have Ali Jr. So yes, I believe he's above the prisoners, however I don't think he wins against anyone in the higher tiers. As a whole he's very outdated compared to current Baki standards. Now onto the C tier. Up first we have Gaia. He hasn't really done much in a very long time. He got shit on by Musashi, so we can't really say too much about that. He did however get recently called out by Jack like most people did, so I guess he could have some impressive showings during that fight where he could potentially go even higher. Also in C tier I have Shiba, who in the whole Baki series hasn't really done much, but the extent he was able to push Baki when he was preparing for his fight against Yuichiro was quite impressive and I didn't really expect it from him. We do also have his dedicated spin-off manga currently ongoing which recently started, so we may get more insight about Shiba and that, so stay tuned for potential higher ranking coming from him. Then we have Keiha, the definition of sumo trash. He came into the series, had that whole crazy exchange with Yuichiro, having all this promise, and then got absolutely destroyed by Doppo, so I can't really put him in B tier, so he definitely has to stay in C. And now I have Che Guevara, who yes was powerful during his arc, however that arc is a long time ago now, isn't really relevant to Baki standards. Characters are getting stronger, he hasn't made an appearance since that arc, so we can't really gauge where he sits. So for now, I think he goes in C tier. I do believe he beats up all of the death row inmates. A fight against Ali Jr. may be interesting, but I do think he wins. And now for a bonus, I would also place all the other sumo wrestlers apart from Sukune in C tier as well based on their showings during the sumo arc tournament. Now onto the B tier, beginning with Retsukaya. So yes, he's dead. He's technically reincarnated in his spin-off manga, but I don't think it's really fair to include those showings into this ranking. And if I'm being honest, it can't really be compared to the main Baki series. I consider the other spin-offs because they more so are used to explain the backstories of certain characters. This is literally just an isekai after Retsu's death. It's not really the same thing. So while he's dead, other characters naturally are getting stronger, surpassing him. I do think he'll defeat everyone in the lower tiers though, without a doubt. Then I have Doppo Orochi. So my man seems to be getting stronger, being able to pressure Baki in that little training demonstration of sumo at the start of this recent arc. Then he had his fight in the sumo tournament, which was a little bit of a struggle, but his fight against Keiha, where his thick version actually arrived, he had a very impressive showing, especially when you consider Keiha's performance against Yuichiro. So Doppo stocks are definitely on the rise now. And then of course his future fight with Jack potentially, we could see what he's truly capable of now. Goki is someone I always tend to rank above Doppo Orochi, mainly because he defeated him during the maximum tournament, and you may be able to argue Doppo's recent improvements should put him above Goki. However, if we look back at the Musashi arc, Goki did have some insane showings, and as a whole he is the ultimate troll and definitely very hard to take down, with a lot of characters including Doppo always giving him his respect. Now up next, I have probably the most controversial opinion on this tier list. I have Kaku Kaio. For whatever reason, people are gonna have a problem with this, so let me explain it very clearly for the hopefully last time. So characters throughout the series are progressively getting stronger, but at varying degrees. Characters like Yuichiro remain at the top because they get stronger to an insane degree. This is even stated in the manga directly, with stronger villains or antagonists being introduced, so the main cast of characters will naturally need to get stronger. And what do we see most characters do in their spare time? Training. That's all they really do. So of course, characters getting stronger. If we have a look at the Pickle arc, we have him pretty much state during the Katsumi and Pickle fight that he would rather die than actually go out and fight Pickle. A lot of people like to say this doesn't really mean too much, but if you look at Kaku's character, him being willing to stop his heart at an enemy at Pickle's level during that fight, which wasn't even his strongest version during that arc itself, you could say Pickle at that time was on Yujiro's level that actually defeated him, or potentially even above, which most likely is the case. Kaku shouldn't really be anywhere in conversation now. Then we have him pretty much implying to varying degrees that Katsumi has unlocked something that he'll never be able to do, implying that he may have actually surpassed him. And then if you have a look at the Musashi arc, Kaku was involved in training Retsu, the only main character who died during that arc, also using weapons against Musashi during that fight. Kaku trained him in Zhao Li, which was countered by Musashi. From there, he hasn't done anything since. So we can't really say whether he's getting stronger like most of the other characters. His Zhao Li is of course one of the strongest techniques in the whole series. Yes, he has favourable map shots, perhaps with people in higher tiers, but if you consider that this isn't just a who wins against who, it's a tier list, it's based on who wins more fights or who does better as a whole in every possible matchup, with Kaku not really being that guy anymore. Then the last fight I have in B tier is Katsumi. Katsumi with Retsu's arm now should be above Retsu. His whole character arc that begun during the Pickle stuff was all leading up to him surpassing his father Doppo, him surpassing Retsu, and him surpassing Kaku, which I believe he has successfully done now. Moving on to the A tier, of course, after you fix this graph by subscribing for more Baki content, it's greatly appreciated. So first up in A tier, I have Sukune. Yes, took a loss to all the Hanmas, defeated Oliver at the start of the arc, and then while I guess nerfed, or Oliver just having knowledge of his abilities now, being able to counter all of it. But his domination during the fight was quite severe, so I definitely have to put Oliver above him. You could say there wasn't really a fight where we got to see the full extent of his powers. Against Yuichiro it ended quickly, against Jack he was kinda nerfed and slowly whittled down, and wasn't really on Jack's current level. Against Oliver he was pretty much nerfed and was countered in every way. And then against Baki, Baki won in like 9 seconds. However, Baki did claim he needed to win that fast due to Sukune's overwhelming power. Also something very similar to what he said about Ali Jr. So you can't really take that as an absolute fact. So who knows, Sukune is kinda in the mud now. You could maybe even say he belongs in B tier. But also in A tier I have Hanma. He had the best showings during the sumo tournament, absolutely destroying his opponent. During the Musashi arc, while getting absolutely clapped, did perform amongst the best out of all the characters who faced him. So with all that in mind, he's definitely worthy of A tier. Oliver, beginning the most recent arc, got destroyed by Sukune. His stocks were in the absolute mud after taking 3 L's in a row against Baki, Yuichiro, returning after a long time and then losing the way he did. However, his recent redemption with the return of the legendary ball technique has solidified Oliver's rise in the ranking once again, so I believe he's definitely worthy of A tier now. Also in here I have Motobe. This is more so weaponed up Motobe with prep time and all that. He did some madness against Musashi during that arc. Current Jack did call him out for a rematch, so that's going to be pretty interesting. The same thing for Katsumi and Goki as well. So all those rematches may actually determine a lot of these rankings in the future of the story. And then the last character I have in A tier is Pickle. So Pickle's in A tier as he's a little outdated now. He got destroyed by Musashi, which isn't really much of a downside. However, he hasn't returned since, so we can't really say where he stacks up, for example against someone like current Jack. Baki during the Pickle arc with the use of technique was absolutely destroying Pickle. I'm hoping he returns in the future, and when he does, some insanity will most likely occur, but for now we can't really say, so the leader of the A tier. Now into the final tier, the S. First up I have Jack, recently calling out everyone including his brother Baki for a rematch. When that fight does occur, we're going to see where he truly sits. Some may say he doesn't really belong in the S tier and should be back in A. I personally disagree, as I'm investing my stocks into the Jack hype, so I believe he will deliver. Up next I have Musashi, who, yes, his arc is over, he most likely won't return, but the impact he had on the story is definitely still there, and his position as an absolute monster will definitely remain there. Even if characters are getting stronger, the ceiling that he kinda provided definitely stuck around, so S tier without a doubt. We also have Baki in here. The way he absolutely destroyed Sukune is pretty much evidence of why he belongs here. Yuichiro destroyed Sukune, Baki destroyed Sukune. Baki is that guy now, definitely worthy of being here. Then of course we have Yuichiro. If you consider the fight between Yuichiro and Baki, it's very clear that Yuichiro is the stronger one. And then if you consider the Musashi arc, Yuichiro kinda had a better showing against Musashi as well. So for now, Yuichiro definitely in the S tier. He's also on his thickness rise, so Yuichiro still at number 1. And then one more bonus character everyone's been waiting for, Yuichiro Hanma. Based on, I guess, the fandom's perspective, he belongs in S tier, so I'm just going to leave him in here for now. If you want more detail about him, check out these dedicated videos. Check out all the other stuff in the description if you haven't already. Shout out to these mad lads who support the channel via the Patreon. But that's it guys, peace.